Hello everyone, this is Cheryl with CNC RV Dear Yet. Have you heard of Johnny Morris? Well, if you haven't been to Missouri, because in Missouri, Johnny Morris is a household name. He's the owner of Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, and several parks into Missouri. And today we are going to take you on a tour to one of his parks, Dogwood Nature Park into Branson, Missouri. So follow us, the adventures of CNC.
I'm taking my chances along with my dreams.
Does everybody know who Johnny Morris is? He owns Bass Pro, Cabela's, Top of the Rock. some of those small places like that. He also opened this up as a what they call a foundation, which means it's a 501c foundation, which means every penny that comes in the park stays in the park for conservation, preservation, and education. It also means that this park will stay here forever. It's self-funded, so it'll keep running forever for your kids, your grandkids, your great-great-great-grandkids, and on down the line. So it'll stay here forever. That's the way it's designed. Now, when he bought this park in 1990, it was just a little gentle stream coming through here, and a pulling campground on the far end with some cabins up on the hill up there. It was also just 2,260 acres that time. Now it's over 10,000 acres. Lots been added to it. So if you guys are ready to go, let's go see some of the park, all right? Again, my name is Larry. If you have any questions, holler at me, throw something at me, as long as it's not too heavy, okay? Okay, anybody ever seen Pete Nelson with Treehouse Builders on the Animal Planet? In front of us is a beautiful treehouse on the right-hand side. Johnny Morris wanted a treehouse built before 2015, Christmas time. He contacted Pete Nelson the latter part of October. Within 21 days from the time he found these trees, he had the treehouse built. It was built very well. There's a video on it that shows it was built in 30 minutes, but it actually took 21 days. Now there's all kinds of little cubby holes, things inside there for kids and adults to see and look at inside there, as well as in the nature center. And there's 11-step spiral staircase inside there with 11 steps of different wood of the area. Each step, and it's got a placard each side of that step for what that wood is. Now if you look outside to your left, you'll see that that is the tallest waterfall in the park. It's what we call Indian Cliff Falls. If you go through the restaurant and go through the artifacts area and go all the way to the end to make a right, you can go out there and get pictures up close to that waterfall. Now, something if you've never tried, if you have a cell phone that takes slow-mo pictures, if you try and take a waterfall with a slow-mo picture or any type of water crossing like that, it's like rain falling in very slow raindrops. A pretty neat little picture. If it doesn't work out for you, you can always delete it. Now you can see that next little crack in the wall there. About a quarter of the way down from that cliff up there, there are two caves up there. They're kind of hidden by the brush right now. But inside those two caves, they found the Indian human remains of a gentleman approximately 35 years old. He was carbon dated to 960 AD. Then 4 years later, they found 3 more Indian human bundles in the cave, and they were carbon dated between 130 and 900 AD. They were of children ages 2 to 8 years of age. Now there are 3 creeks that feed the park here. The first one is House Creek at the very end of the parking lot. This one on the left-hand side of us is Little Indian Creek, and as we get up farther, it is called Dogwood Creek, from once we get past the chapel. Now on the right-hand side is what we call an outdoor amphitheater. We have several people who come down from our nature center. They'll give us displays of some of the animals that are in the park, as well as some of the reptiles, explains that some that are poisonous or not poisonous. We also have our sister company, the Wonders of Wildlife, come down from Springfield, and they'll have birds of prey like hawks, eagles, and owls at different times. And those are live birds, and they're beautiful to see. Now, if you like trout fishing, from this next crossing on for the next half mile is what we call self-guided fishing. You do not need a permit, license, or tag required in the park because it is all private property. It is on the honor system at $15 an hour. You can bring your own rods and reels, or one can be provided for you through the store. Again, it's on the honor system at $15 an hour. Now, if you would like to keep a fish, if you keep a big lunker, it's $5.25 a pound live weight. If you don't want to keep it, you can throw it back in, take a picture of it first, kiss it, and throw it back in the water. Again, that's on the honor system. For those who are currently retired from the military, this bridge is an honor view. We call this Calvary Bridge. And if I do have you on board, I'd like to thank you for your service, and it's an honor to have you on board here. Again, this is Calvary Bridge. You can see by the cross swords on either side. Now, if you go into the Bass Pro or Cabela's stores, and you show your military ID card, they will give you a discount depending on what the item is. Most items you get a discount on, some you do not. Now this is what we call our sycamore grove. We have several sycamore trees in here. The oldest one is on the right hand side up here. It's 150 years old, this big one on the right. We have a lot of hardwoods in here that many years ago they did a lot of hardwood cutting here, clear cutting of the hardwoods. They used them for furniture, furniture, flooring, and cabinetry, as well as other items like railroad ties. The sycamore is a too soft of wood, so they did not use the sycamore. Now, if you know anything about Amish construction, in front of us is what we call Amish Bridge.
Because his wife, her legs are hurting. Mommy, did you catch any of that? 2 of them.
The only tools that he used for power was a horse to pull block and tackle, pull the upper beams in place. Everything else was done by hand tools. It's an 80-foot span bridge made out of 12 by 12 beams that actually came out of a century-old warehouse out of Chicago, Illinois. Johnny Morris liked to reuse materials rather than have them destroyed. And when we come back, we're actually be coming through the lower waterway down there. And you'll be able to get some pictures from the bottom down there as well as up here. Now, if you look down on that rock down here, you can see a big turtle in the water down there, and right in front of that turtle on the rock is a very small turtle up in the sun there. Big turtle down in the water, you know, they're just soft-shell turtles, they're not snappers. And that little one up on the rock just sunning itself. Everybody see it down there? I'll point it out now, because it may not be there when we come back. When you get up close to it, that's got kind of red eye with yellow above it. Then once we go to the other side of the bridge here, you'll see some of the tools they use to build the bridge. The only thing that's missing over here is the horse to pull the block and tackle. That pull the upper beam. Oh, come on, give me a break. These guys gave me trouble in the first tram ride. You can see that tools they used in the bridge here to build the bridge. The only thing it's missing is the horse to pull the block and tackle, upper to pull the upper beams in place. And if you notice on some of those handles on those tools, there's duct tape on them. That's one of my wife's favorite tools. Duct tape fixes anything. Don't replace it. See if the duct tape works first. Now up in front of us on the left-hand side is our Hope Wilderness Chapel. Again, I apologize, we won't be able to go into the chapel. The chapel was built in 2002 by crews from Dogwood Canyon. The walls are made out of sharp-leaf pine logs that came off our upper bluff up here. The ceiling is eastern red cedar and the floors are all rough cut oak. Now the pews inside came out of a century-old chapel out of Georgia. They're all handmade and they can over 100 years old. And a lot hand carved on the end of the pews. They're very beautiful. It'll seat 120 people. The bride's changing room is in the building on the right-hand side there. They're actually going to build another building for the bride on the left-hand side. The bride coming up the back steps back there. And we're supposed to build another bride's dressing room on the outside on the left-hand side this coming year. It's supposed to be better than anyone around. Then that other building will be converted into restrooms. Now the name of the chapel is Hope Wilderness Chapel. And Hope, after the manager's son that actually built the chapel, his wife was getting ready to have a baby, and they named the baby Hope. That's how it was named, Hope Wilderness Chapel. Now on your left-hand side, this is what we call where Indian Creek comes in. There's a 24-stall state-of-the-art stable back there. It offers hourly rides daily. as well as 2.5-hour rides during the summertime with a picnic in the middle. They cross the creek crossings about 8 to 10 times as they do the trail ride, and it's a pretty neat little ride back in there. Now, this little creek crossing we're going to cross here, I'll explain that as we get up to the next crossing, because you'll also be able to take some beautiful pictures of it as we go through. If you are an energetic hiker, on the left-hand side we call this Pine Ridge Path. You'll see it on your map if you have a map there. I think it's a white dotted line. It's a 1.2 mile hike. It comes out on the other side of our chuck wagon site. What they don't show you on there is about a 300-foot incline over a 1/4 mile, so it's a pretty steep little hike, and it's a gravel incline. Now from this point forward, it is guided fishing only.
You barely put your toes to get that
We got 2 marks on the smaller scale there. I think it's pretty much
Ninety-5% of the fish we have in here are rainbow trout. The reason for that is the rainbow trout will eat the brown trout's babies and the brown trout will eat the rainbow trout's babies. So that's why we only have one type of trout in here. There's also some bass in here, some bluegill, some suckerfish. We do have to restock the fish, and when they do, these other fish get in here. Now if you look off to the right, you see those 2 rock slabs are down there. Just past those rock slabs is that green foliage in the water. That is what we call watercress. Watercress is a cousin to the mustard green plant. It only grows in that fresh, clean, clear, cold water. Wherever there is a spring coming out of the ground, you're going to see some of that watercress growing. It will not grow in an unpure water. Again, that is watercress. If you like pepper in your salad, it's a good substitute. You'll see one of the things he has done to create a habitat for the trout. Not just for a few, but for many. Okay, on the left-hand side, that is called a weir. You can see it up and take pictures if you need to. That is called a weir, a W-E-I-R. Again, those are rainbow trout. Earlier I told you we've had green trout in the park. When we come up to this next crossing, the trout will feel the vibration, the vehicle will come up. They will come up on the left-hand side here. So kids, if you want to scoot over to your left-hand side so you can see these fish. They're little bitty fish, they're only 3 to 5 pounders if you consider that little bitty fish. Now they'll feel the vibration of the vehicle, they'll come up to the side. Please do not step off the tram. That concrete is very slippery, and that water is about 10 foot deep there. And again, it's 50 to 65 degrees, so it's very chilly water. Now, were you just waving? I see some of the fish waving at you.
There they go.
Now, you know how you train a puppy dog to do tricks? You give them treats, right? That's exactly what we're doing. Give them treats. That's how we get them to wave them. But they're trained, right? They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Now these fish here are about 3 to 5 pounds. Again, they're beautiful rainbow trout. And surprisingly, the guided fishing tours will actually fish on the other side too, and they'll catch bigger fish on that side as well. Now, I was telling you about the weirs we have in the park. We're sitting on a weir here. Off to your left, if you can get some pictures, you're more than welcome to. Johnny Morris's younger daughter Megan actually got married here.
A pretty spot to get married. Yep, there's the bride.
They're probably going up to Piranha Pool. No. They're going up to the next good spot to take a picture of. Okay, we're going to wait here. We got 2 more people coming up to catch up with us here. Again, Johnny Morris's younger daughter actually got married here. Megan, a few years back.
I'm gonna pull up.
Oh, I will pull up.
Yeah, it's hard to get these guys back.
Would have been a good place for a little picnic.
How's that? That better?
Perfect.
Good.
Okay.
For us. That's real.
There's hot dogs, barbecue pork, barbecue chicken, and many other options, plus all the fixings that go with it. Now, for a wedding reception, they'll even have up to steak and lobster if they want. Now, there's been many celebrities out here. Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash. Did not know that Kevin Costner could sing, but he actually had a band and played on that back platform back there. President George W. Bush Sr. has been here. Donny Osmond, Whitey Herzog, Dick Butkus, Peyton Manning, and many others have been here. Now remember I told you about the Pine Ridge Pass on your left-hand side? Again, here's where it comes out on the left here. And again, if you look up that hillside, you see it's a steep little incline. A lot of people do hiking, but it's a steep little incline. It's not a bad hike. If you want something a little less strenuous on the body, Fox Canyon Trail's right in front of us. It has a shallow little incline, goes back about a half mile into the nature area, and then comes right back out again. Now in the park, you may see some critters, especially this time of day. We're one of the last groups out. We are the last group out, as a matter of fact. There are a lot of little brown mink that run around here. They're about 8 to 10 inches long. They have kind of a reddish brown furry tail and a reddish brown body. We have a lot of other critters that run around. We have some groundhogs, armadillos, possums, squirrels, rabbits. We have red fox, gray fox, coyotes, bobcats. We've got some wild deer out here, 2 of them. I know we have at least 2. That one has a set of twins, and the other has a single baby. I seen those day before yesterday. We also have mountain lion and black bear in here. Now, if we see the mountain lion or black bear, we're going to turn around and go the other direction. We haven't seen it here in a while, but we have seen them in here. Now in this part of the country, there's over 450 black bear. We're going to go into Arkansas here in a little bit, and there's over 4,000 black bear in that part of the country. Now 2 other critters that live in this park are in a cave on the right-hand side over here. We call this Power Line Cave. Those critters are bats. One is called a Mexican freetail, the other is a large brown bat. Now some people think bats aren't good, but the one thing nice about bats, they do like to eat a lot of mosquitoes, and I'd rather see a bat flying around than get ate up by mosquitoes myself. Again, that's a natural spring that comes out of the cave on the right hand side as well. Now if you notice there are bars on that cave, A few years back, we came in one morning and part of the ceiling had collapsed and caved in on the back of that cave. The cave goes back about 50 foot in there. So they decided to close all the caves off to everyone, and when anybody getting hurt, wasn't worth that hassle. Again, that is Powerline Cave. All our caves have been explored by the University of Arkansas as well as Missouri State University, their archaeological departments. And they've been explored since 1990 on. So these caves have been explored and adventured through many times. Now, in case I haven't told you before, the county we're in Missouri here is called Stone County. We do have a lot of rock in here that seems to grow more every day. Now, if you would like to get a beautiful picture on your right-hand side when we cross this bridge up here, if you look off to the right-hand side, you'll see several weirs in a row with a waterfall at the far end.
I don't think I'm going back at all.
You look off the right, there's a beautiful picture there. There's a great postcard picture there. There's a big, beautiful dog laying. On the left-hand side, you'll see this big stone wall here. It's been here for many, many years. There's many different types of limestone on Earth. This happens to be what we call calcite limestone. Calcite limestone developed over thousands of years where there's mud and dirt between the rock layers, and over years the mud and dirt get washed away by rain and water, so they compact or layer on top of each other. We call it a softened limestone because actually you can chip away those layers easier than you could if it was a piece of solid rock. I guarantee I know that. I've got 45 acres up the hill here that I fenced, and I had to fence all of it, and I had to get a hammer drill to drill all the rock, even to put T-posts in. I had to drill a hole to put a T-post in. Anyway, this is what we call calcite limestone. Remember the looks of it, the layered look, because when we get up to the other end, right before we go into pasture, you're going to see what we call dolomite limestone. Much different looking rock. There are 3 more sets of human remains found here. 2 they determined to be Native American. It was in a cave off to the right-hand side. It's out of sight now. Those human remains, the first 2 were Native Americans. They determined that they carbon dated about 600 AD. Now the other set of remains were they determined a cave dweller, and that was 6,000 BC, or 8,000 years old now. That's the oldest living remains found in the state of Missouri, and they determined that to be a cave dweller, not Native American. Of course, all these remains are in a secure location in the state of Missouri, so here location. Again, that's the oldest set of remains in the state of Missouri. There's that bride and groom coming down there. Now, if you've noticed on the side of this bridge abutment, there is a bear head on the side of the bridge abutment. Each collie has their own animals they adore, and this one happens to be the Missouri State Bears, and the bear head is their mascot. When we get up to the glory hole, you'll see another one for the Arkansas Razorback. There is a hog head on the wall here, and I'll make sure to point that out to you so you can get some pictures of that. Would anybody like to give the bride and groom a clap? Now we'll get ready to cross what we call Kids Cave up here. Kids Cave is only about 14 inches high, and it goes back 250 feet in a canyon wall. So look off to your left, you'll see there's a Kids Cave just inside here. And that's a little walk going in there. And then that Kids Cave will 250 feet back in there. You have to fall the ball along the back, you're going to fall down and you get to the back. It is between 50 and 65 degrees. Off to your right hand side is what we call Fire Pit Cave. It goes about 100 feet back in there, and there's a natural chimney that goes up to the top of that canyon wall. Okay, Fire Pit Cave, there's a natural chimney about 100 feet back in there. They found charcoal dating back over 3,000 years, as well as Native American jewelry beads, arrowheads, axes, axe handles, and other tools from that time. Again, that is Fire Pit Cave. Artifacts over 3,000 years old. Now, we're going to stop at our next cave, which is what we call the Glory Hole. Please only feed the fish in the Glory Hole. Do not feed the fish off to the left-hand side, because that's where the people that like to go out and trout fish, that's where they'll fish on the left-hand side of those steps up there. So please only feed the fish in the Glory Hole. That cave goes back about 300 foot in there. You can walk up on top of that balcony if you wish up there, and it's also the last stop for the restrooms on the left-hand side. Now, when you see me come back to the truck, turn on the headlights, it's time to come on so we can go and see the rest of the pasture. At the base of the hill, there's a good spot for a picture off to your right-hand side here. I would call that another postcard picture if you want. I will stop so you get the pictures as we go through here. Again, on your right-hand side. I had a lady tell me last week every corner you turn is it's more beautiful than the next.
This tree is in the way. I think we're just going to need to get it right there now.
Okay, you get your pictures? Now everybody know who Waylon Jennings is, right?
Yep.
Have you ever seen the Dukes of Hazzard? He wrote the theme song for the Dukes of Hazzard. Well, Waylon Jennings and Johnny Morris were very good friends. Back in 1994, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Morris, and his younger daughter came out here and went fishing. Waylon Jennings and Johnny Morris' younger daughter Megan actually caught their first fish here. That's at the next crossing. We call it Waylon Jennings Crossing. Now Johnny Morris does have a home back here. We're going to see that home when we come out. When he built the park and had that home back here, he wanted to build a few cobblestone bridges. But after he had one built and rode across it a few times, he said, "No, never mind, just build one." We also call it Turtle Rock Bridge. If you looked at the tops of either side of the bridge, you'll see these stones on them that actually look like turtle shells. These turtle shells, stones, are actually called septarian nodules. These are not native to Missouri. These actually came out of Oklahoma. And it's called septarian nodules. After you rode across that bridge one time, you know why there's only one bridge, right? Okay, I know you all have an imagination on your right-hand side. This is Imagination Rock. What do you think it looks like to you guys? I've heard buffalo, I've heard bison, I've heard some people say a bear. I had one lady say it looked like a rhinoceros. And one kid said it looked like a dog. I don't know if I want a dog like that since we're some pit bull there. I had one of those 7-year-old kids say to his daddy, "Why do they even talk about it? It's just a rock." Then we had another little kid say it looks like an animal cracker. It does kind of resemble an animal cracker. It's very old, hard, and chewy.
You see who has
It actually came out of our quarry here. They found it like that, cleaned it up, and put it right there where it is. The biggest fish on the park was a 16-pound, 27-inch rainbow trout. That is one nice-sized fish on your pool on the right-hand side here. Now this is all a catch and release area only, and the fishing guide knew they had something special, so they contacted Johnny Morris through the front office, Johnny Morris offered to, and they did mount the fish for the person and did not charge it for the fishing guide service. Now, we've been asked many times, what do we put in the water to change the color of the water? If you notice, it's kind of that aqua blue color there. We absolutely do nothing. As the water flows through the limestone walls over there, it picks up minerals from that limestone, and those minerals refract in the water, creating that deep aqua blue color. The deeper the water, the deeper aqua blue it's going to be, the shallower the clear it's going to be. As we get up a little bit farther here, you can see it's clearer, and when we get up to this next water crossing, it looks clear as can be. Again, it's all the same water. It depends on the depth of water, and again, it's all caused by refraction. Just like in oceans, the oceans have different colors. Those pretty aqua blue colors, those again are from minerals in the water from there too. Now, Missouri is a cave state, and because of that, we have a lot of underground waterways and channels. If you look to your right, there's water there, and if you look to the left, there's no water except for what we got from rain yesterday. Now, we are in a drought area right now. Because of that, the water levels are low down below ground, as in our springs and our wells and our underground aquifers. Because of that, the water that's sitting on top of the creeks will actually flow down between the rocks and crevices and go underground to the water pools underground and come out at a different location. Now we call that disappearing stream or disappearing creek, but the technical term for it is called karst topography, K-A-R-S-T topography. We have several examples of it through the park right now because of, again, drought conditions and low water in different spots. We've had water flowing through here in the springtime where actually we could not drive the trams because there was so much water flowing over the road. Even with these snorkels on here, we're not going to take our vehicles down through the water like that. Now we come up to this next pool on the left-hand side. It is a 50-foot waterfall that comes down into that next pool. It's called Emerald Pool. At the base of that hill, also there is another natural spring at the base of that hill. It comes out on your left-hand side of it. Again, this is called Emerald Pool. Again, that water temperature between 50 and 65 degrees year-round. You can see the water coming down the hill, and on the left-hand side, see where the grassy area is, there is actually spring flowing out the bottom of the hillside as well. This is station 19 on your map, if you're looking at that. Again, Emerald Pool. That's one of the deeper pools, 10 to 12 feet of water. Okay, can you imagine bride and groom sitting on top of that bridge, or in a beautiful horse carriage with a beautiful horse pulling it, or somebody celebrating their anniversary or birthday or some other special event. Again, that is Reflection Bridge. Now we have two very narrow crossings as we're going to cross up in front of us here, so make sure you keep your hands and arms on the inside, please. When we cross this next crossing, it's what we call Cave Spring. It is a shallow little cave, but it does put out a lot of spring water. If you look at the base of the cave, you'll see the spring water coming out. I'm in Arkansas. You guys are stuck in Missouri still. If you'd like to get a picture of Welcome to Arkansas, go right ahead. When we come back, we'll get a picture of Welcome to Missouri. Now we've got about a 300-foot incline with 2 switchbacks. We're not going to go that fast, but please make sure to pick up anything you could possibly roll out as we go up the hill. Going past the state line, going up in the pass. Have a wonderful day, guys. Hope you had fun. He's about a 10-point buck. And we have a little doe by the name of Jane Doe. I didn't name her, somebody else did, so I'll keep the name. Now, if anybody sees either one of them, please point them out. I see Robbie, he's laying right up here under the shed of the building up here. When we get up here, you'll be able to get a beautiful picture of Robbie. Now, on the deer, of course, the males are called bucks. On the elks, the males are called bulls. Baby, because it's much smaller than the other 3 that are down in the pasture. The smaller ones are, we believe, are juniors, and the older ones, the bigger ones, we believe are struts because they get halfway during breeding season.
It's looking right out here, it still is.
Now the Native Americans have a nickname for these guys. They call them wapata, which means pale-sided deer, because of that pale patch on their back end. Now these are Rocky Mountain elk. The Rocky Mountain elks are the middle-sized elk as far as elk goes. The big bulls in these will go about an average weight of about 700 pounds. The Roosevelt elk, and they're found in about 26 states in the United States. The Roosevelt elk is found up in the Great Northwest, and it weighs about 900 pounds for the big bulls on average. And the smallest one is going to be the Thule elk, and that's going to be down in California, and they're about average about 400 pounds for the big bull elks. Okay, did you all get some pictures? Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and go around. There's one standing up on the far side over there. That one on the far side is probably the oldest baby. He's probably up to 4 months old now. The one in the other side there, he's maybe about a month and a half old. There's one right here in the middle. I'd say he's again, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's another one on the other side over there too. Now, if you look at Junior here, you see the tips of his antlers. You see how white they are. Again, that's from him. He'll dig into the dirt and dig into rocks down here and sharpen those points on his antlers. Now, he'll lose about 20% of his body weight during breeding season because he takes care of all these females in his herd.